right after uploading my first video to this channel, which is now Holy Family Devoted, it was Saint in Training, just a little rebrand, I suppose. After that, I started struggling with a few things. I certainly have a drive to create, to build something worth being proud of, but how do I know if this is something the Lord is okay with me doing? I can't get rid of that distant hope that one day this thing could make me a lot of money. I'm not supposed to say that, but I would love to become financially independent on creative endeavors and stop working a day job, you know? It's not necessarily a bad thing to want that, I understand. Men want to leave a legacy, and I don't think that that is mutually exclusive from the drive to earn money. But as a Catholic, as someone who genuinely wants to empty myself, right, genuinely wants to go through a process of theosis, which is the purpose of the Christian life, someone who genuinely wants to live in the mystical realities, this symbolic world which lay underneath the physical one, I want to have the desire to live like Saint Francis of Assisi. Everything is on the table for the Holy Family to use as they might. So, when does it become okay to assert a thing? And when can I make my own decisions about my life as far as the order of grace goes? That's the question. That has been the theme of my life, a theme in my past. When I was a Baptist Protestant, there was so much gray area in the faith, and yet such an expectation to feel the right things, to progress in the spiritual life in the right ways. But those ways were still largely unspoken. I had a relationship with Christ and experienced Him now and again. I tried to read the Bible every day, you know, that kind of thing. But as I got older, I ended up attaching myself in a disordered way to my own emotional movements. My anxieties and even an extreme paranoia convinced me that they were the voice of the Holy Spirit. And so I thought, I feel bad, I must do this thing to feel better. Now, I was controlled by these fears because I thought the problem was mine and that I ought to do what they say because they're the voice of God. I wasn't convinced, I couldn't convince myself of the doctrine of eternal security, the idea that once you say the sinner's prayer, you're going to heaven and no amount of sin or anything can make you lose your salvation. I could not convince myself of that. Turns out it's false. It's not true. But before my conversion, all I knew was this idea of eternal security or letting the Holy Spirit lead, following my emotions in that sort of way. And so I assumed that my eternal soul was in danger if I didn't do the scary things that these interior forces told me to do. Now, this storm, Sorry, I blew into the microphone. This storm almost destroyed my life through a specific incident. Fortunately, I ended up in counseling, and that was the first crack in this facade. That the facade I thought was God. But I still struggled with this for a while, for years, until I broke free in a deeper way during my conversion to Catholicism. That's another story for another time, really. But I say all that to indicate that since my conversion, I've largely been free of this illusion that these interior movements are God, though they do pop up from time to time, and I do fall back into those old ways of thinking from time to time, of assuming that some mystical reality, some interior movement indicates, you know, this, that, or the other thing should be done. I've begun a healing journey that could take who knows how long, could take my life. I may always struggle a little bit with tricking myself into thinking these anxieties are the Holy Spirit. But I say all of this to point to a lesson that has been continually presented to me in a loving way by the hand of the Father. Most especially, this has been presented to me by my confessor. His spirituality is such a direct salve for me for this problem that I can't imagine it accidental, my running into him. And here's the lesson. Here's the point. Here is the antithesis to my thesis. Pragmatism is okay. Not overthinking things is okay. It's okay to live normally and to try new things. Experimenting is okay outside of sin. Trying to guess at divine intentions through subtle movements of the heart or desiring mystical experiences, like I said, that point me exactly where I need to go at any given moment, maybe isn't the best way to discern God's will for me. I need to learn to be an assertive force in my own life. I'm afraid of making the wrong moves, but now I know that I have to walk around a little bit in order to find the path. So I'm going to keep experimenting. I'm going to upload stuff as discernment. And that's okay. I'm not going to wait for some sustained interior perfection to tell me whether or not I should have a YouTube channel, you know. And I mean, the YouTube channel is a small thing. This is a larger point in my life. This applies to the most serious questions that I ask as well. This is just a very small, obviously fun hobby kind of thing. So that is a big lesson for me, but there is a second thing I'm struggling with, and it's a little different here. So I haven't got this one quite worked out yet, and I hope this doesn't sound fakely humble, but genuinely, who am I to think that I have anything worth saying or presenting to the world or even to the internet? Like, I've been Catholic less than 2 years. I'm not well read. I have serious personal issues that need healing, and I have received healing already, but there's such a journey there that could, like I said, even in this instance, could take a lifetime. So what should I say on this channel? What do I even want to do with this? I've already said that I want to build something I can be proud of, or even become financially independent with in the long run, and also build community. But is that it? I do enjoy making high-quality media, for sure. I enjoy talking about the faith and exploring the hero's journey, and sharing my own hero's journey. Is that enough? Does this point me in a good direction for the project? One other thing that I care about is that I find it extremely important to even this smallest raindrop being added to internet culture, pointing to Catholic ideas, pointing to the true faith. This single drop of the true faith should be added to internet culture. So that's another thing, you know. My final question is posting on the internet an activity that is inseparable from the ego. My past includes going to school for music, being told to pursue that, and then falling into this mindset that I must be successful. I'm gonna be successful. It has seemed to me in the past that putting myself on the internet, turning the camera onto me, is an inherently egotistical thing, but it has changed a little bit my perspective to see a lot of good people who are public figures. Some of the most inspiring people to me have been Gabby After Hours, Scott Hahn, Father Mike Schmitz, Matt Fradd, anyone who Matt Fradd would interview on his show, you know. This already stands in contrast to that Baptist musician past of mine, which became all ego. And I don't necessarily mean to pick on the Baptists. I'm just picking on my past experience in that tradition, all right? It's probably worth saying. I don't want to make this about, like, which tradition, you know, is evil or something. It's not about that. So thinking I had the right answers to give about Christianity was a trend of mine. Thinking that I had the best shot of anyone I knew to become famous or something with my music was a trend. And this just goes on and on and on. Just this this pride of life, I suppose, living out of the wounds of deprivation and pride. But I've seen something so new in this internet space in the past several years since being turned on to being clued in to the Catholic side of things, And I've seen what media can do when the person gets out of the way of God's work. Something incredible. Yet still, these are all way higher aspirations than I feel like I should even have. I'm not really anyone, and I'm at the beginning of a very long journey. Even though it feels like so much has already happened in this new Catholic journey into God. I guess I want to talk about that. I want to track it. I want to make high quality videos, and I want to be honest. But I don't want to feign humility or let that insipid predator, my ego, grow up again into what it once was and sometimes still is. So that's the video. What do you think?